What's up? Welcome back to the manga magazine series, and here is another Axe issue that I wanted to show off. This is Axe Volume 8, Issue 8, with a cover by Maruo Suehiro, who of course did the series Midori or Shoujo Tsubaki or Mr. Arashi's Amazing Freak Show. And here's the back of it. This issue was published in 1994 at the end of April, and with it being an early issue of Axe, we have again the beautiful color page foldouts. This one is actually signed by Maruo himself, which is sick, so cool. And on the back, it's nothing too much, but it's just like a little green illustration, but this is amazing. But yeah, and normally I believe with the earlier ones they also got whoever did the color page to write a message as well. So there's actually no Maruo story in here. There's just an interview with him, which is just the first couple of pages in this book. So quite a long one, quite in depth. So let's jump into it. The last Axe issue that I showed off was Volume 4. So you'll see a very similar set of mangaka and artists in here, because we start off here with Chapter 8 of Tokyo Zombie by Hanakuma Yusaku, which still I have not read. Tokyo Zombie was also published in English as well quite a while ago, but it is out of print. Tokyo Zombie also got a live action adaptation as well. So another repeating mangaka, we have Hanawa Kazuichi, a chapter from his Doing Time series, extremely detailed as usual, a full double page spread of his beautiful art style. Right, so Doing Time again is a series focusing on, or is based on his own experiences in jail after being arrested for owning an illegal firearm. Right, so I'll just flip through this quickly. And then another story by Toyo Kataoka. Some ero gag stuff. Then we've got a little section. We've got Hayashi Seiichi, Minami Shimbo, Nemoto Takeshi, and Miura Jun, all of them who have contributed to Garo. It's like a little interview conversation, I guess. Or it might have been a competition. Not too entirely sure. But yeah, just showcasing what they look like, or what they look like back then. This one I'll skip over, and we've got another Shiriagari Kotobuki, the Twin Adults gag series. I think this is chapter 8 or something. And in this chapter's particular, they have this so-called TV, just this white space, and just imagining things, I guess. So this is a new one from Axe issue 4. This is Katahime-sama, chapter 2, I believe. Yeah, chapter 2, by Kanno Osamu, who I have shown and done a spotlight on his local train afternoon tankobon. Kanno Osamu is a favorite of mine, and he is still drawing stuff for Axe, just albeit just less frequently and not as long of a series. This one is chapter 2, so I'm not too sure what entirely happens here, but it's always great to see some more Kanno Osamu. This is also a very interesting panel there too, as is this one. But yeah, great stuff. And then we've got Kikuchi Hironori. Kurukuru Kiki is the name of this series. Another nonsense chapter where you don't need to understand what's going on because it's just fun watching these weird creatures attend school, cook, no idea. But that doesn't matter. You don't need to know what happens because his stuff is just fun, just a great time to read. So now we have the first story, which I will explain. On the left, this is titled "King of the Wind" by Shiraishi Niko, a mangaka who is quite new to me as well. And the story, admittedly, was a bit hard to understand for me, but I will try to just explain how I interpreted it and what I understood from it. So it seems to me that we are following the god of the wind or a god of the wind with a human woman, and I guess there is some sort of drama that happens with them, between them. There's an issue with the relationship, maybe something like that, or it just depicts their relationship. I'm not too entirely sure, but I do love the art, love the hair. Feels like the layers are very clear to see there, and a beautiful two-page spread of just the wind, the god blowing the wind forward and seeing that sort of translate across Tokyo. I believe that's where they are. And that's the end of the story there. So it's quite a simple one, but it's more atmospheric than anything, I would say. But Shiraishi Niko, haven't seen them in any other Axe issues from my collection yet, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Next one, we have a story titled Koi no Tome Ningen. So, the love, or an invisible person's love, by Ayai Akiko. And we follow Momoko here, who dreams of being invisible. But what happens is that she actually does become invisible one day. So the story is following her and her boyfriend, who is like a foreigner. He's not Japanese, and how they sort of deal with this, how they go about, daily life with the fact that she literally can't be seen and there's no reversing it, just happened quite randomly. But I mean, I believe what happens is that she slowly, no, so yeah, slowly you can start to see her again, because when they're eating, they find out that the food can also be observed. Um, but yeah, it's just about them navigating the weird obstacle of one of them just being invisible for some reason. I should censor that. That was, I believe, a Kasumashiro advert. Got Jinbal Rock again by Tomohiro Koizumi, chapter 5. This was seen in the Axe Volume 4 video as well. Stories about adolescence, teenagehood, the like. Okay, this one's quite a funny one that I love. Takaba Masaomi is the name of the mangaka here for the story on the left. This one is titled Psychic Laboratory. And what we have is we have an assistant and we have his professor. So what had happened was that the assistant had found a ball over here, you can see on the left, that supposedly he said he saw a ghost and it dropped a weird ball. But the assistant thinks that the ball can house a soul, and apparently the soul of the professor is in it. So what happens is whatever you do to the ball, you feel the effect on yourself. So he bounces and throws the ball away. He feels the effect of that bounce on himself, and so the assistant scratches it. He feels the itch too. So it's sort of like a voodoo doll thing happening. But out of nowhere, the professor pulls out his own ball which houses the soul of his assistant, and they start fighting and threatening each other. So what do they do to threaten each other? Well, the assistant is going to put the ball in his pants. The professor's going to kiss it. Extremely uncomfortable for both of them. What ends up happening is that they do a ceasefire for a little bit, I guess. Oh no, the assistant manages to get a hold of both of them. They start throwing hands. Both balls fall, and a bird manages to pick both of them up. So they're pretty much screwed because whatever the balls experience, those sensations will carry over to the two men. So yeah, they are done for, I reckon. But that was quite a funny one. Takaba Masaomi does do stories in the earlier issues of Axe in this sort of style where you have dialogue and panel. But yeah, quite a funny story. So we move on now to another one titled Sayonara by, who's this by? It's by Momoto Chiho, a new mangaka to me as well. This one I didn't really understand too much, but I really love the art of it, the eyes, the style of it, and I think it's something to do with this lady here, Kumoko. She says goodbye for everything when she's not supposed to. That's the gist of what I understood of it. Yeah, I apologize. That's the extent of what of my understanding of that story. So we'll move on to another story which is kind of like a mystery horror sort of thing. This one is titled Placebo by Katsuo Kawai, and Katsuo Kawai did the sushi story back in the previous video with Axe issue 4. This one instead, we follow a doctor and a patient. So the patient comes in and he says all he can think about is death. And when the doctor checks his pulse, he feels nothing. There's no heartbeat. And so apparently this patient is already dead. But just in case, he gives the patient some medicine, some antidepressants. So sometime later, the patient is back, but he looks exactly the same as the doctor. And he says that the antidepressants had worked and allowed him to renew his perspective on life. But the doctor knew that was not the case because the chemicals and the medicine themselves should have had no effect on him because he was already dead. And so that's where the placebo effect comes in. So the patient continues to say, that he can become the doctor if he wants to, and he starts morphing and transforming into him. And later on, we find the body of the doctor in the river, dead. And so what happens at the end is we go back to the laboratory and we see a doctor, but a way more skinnier version of him. And what had happened is that the doctor had awakened from a dream, and he was unsure of whether it was real or fake. But later, the doctor, it says like here that the doctor was later arrested for drugging and killing 12 people. So it's unknown whether this doctor at the end was actually that weird dead guy who could transform, or just the actual doctor himself just being a psycho. So it's sort of open-ended for that. So I really like that story too. Let you think a little bit of a horror thing. But yeah, we've got Blue Guitar as normal by Anzai Hajime. We've got the same series of illustrations with these cats. Then you've got a series by Nemoto Takashi, Heta Uma, of course. We've got like a Astro Boy. I think it's like, what is it called? Something like a Black Sushi or something is the name of this story. Something like that. I will click through quickly because it's yeah, it's tough. I can't show much of that of Takashi's works. And then we actually have a a set of illustrations by Tsuge Tadao, which seems to be following like a wrestling experience, I guess. I believe that is what it is about, maybe. But yeah, it's not a manga or anything, just illustrations of wrestling mixed in with, of course, more sexual things. Got more yonkoma works, lots and lots of writing, essays, articles at the back, advertisements. I'm not sure who these people are. And yeah, I think that's the end of this issue here. Yep. Some advertising for some Maruo. Is that a poster or a shirt? Yes, shirt. Nijishiki shirt. Moto Hireyasu, Shiriagari Kotobuki. That sort of thing. So that was issue 8 of Axe. Very interesting though, like, you know, with Maruo being the cover of the issue, but not having a story in it. I found that very interesting. Axe likes to do that a lot of the times. Like, whoever's on the actual front of the cover, a lot of the times they're not actually in the book themselves. It's just normally like an interview or a special article about them. But I can't complain because at least with these early ones we get that beautiful color illustration at the front. So yeah, hope you enjoyed that one. I will see you in the next video. Bye.